Hey fam! So, once again, I am extremely busy in tech for a show. This time it's my main stage assignment, which all the theater freshmen have to do. Originally I was gonna be a board op, but there's no sound design for The Winter's Tale, because Shakespeare. So I got bumped down to stagehand. I've had some interesting times on the show so far, and we're only through one of the 2 performance weekends, so I thought I'd take a couple minutes to share some of my Tales of the Winter's Tale. Number 1. So the second day of movement, I'm up in the props loft, supposed to be putting away a jewelry box. The props loft is up this really rickety, creaky wooden staircase that is in the back of the electric shop, which is in the back of the scene shop. So it's like way out of the way. Because, why would anybody put anything in an accessible place? Seriously, the props loft is bad, the chair loft is terrifying. But anyway, so I'm up this little rickety wooden staircase in this attic space, and it's all cluttered and the shelves are not organized. It's like an antique shop, except nothing in there is actually antique or worth anything. And I'm supposed to be putting away this jewelry box, so I'm up there, I'm looking around. I eventually find a place to put the box, although it wasn't labeled and there were no other boxes there, so who knows if I put it in the right space. When I see this shelf full of books across the room, and at the moment, I'm really not feeling doing any sort of work, so I decide I'm going to take a couple minutes and hide up in the props loft and look at the books. The one in particular that catches my eye is this hardcover book up on the top shelf, and it's completely black with just this silver embossed lettering down the spine that says Otherbound. So, being the naturally curious and investigative person that I am, I take the book down off the shelf. And the front cover is equally plain, straight black, no author, no subtitle, no nothing, just Otherbound in silver letters in this kind of weird font. So I'm thinking, okay, this is probably a pretty interesting book. I mean, Otherbound does have this slightly supernatural feeling to it, but whatever. It's just a book. So I open up the front cover. I'm looking for an introduction or a synopsis or even a dedication, something that's going to tell me what this book is about. Except there's nothing. There's no dust jacket on this thing. It's just the hardcover, and there's no author or any information. And on the inside of the front cover, all there is just this picture of a girl in this grainy sort of monochrome. And I'm thinking, this is sort of unusual. So I flip open to the first actual page of the book, when all of a sudden I hear... I freak out. I'm not expecting any noise. And I look up, and there's a water pipe over my head that's shaking. I'm not exaggerating this at all. It was literally a 2-inch solid pipe over my head that's just vibrating like this, like it's gonna fall on me at any minute. Directly above me, the minute I open this book. It's like haunted or something. And of course, it's late at night in the theater, so that's exactly where my mind went. I was like, this is a ghost. There is a demon in this book, and I just let it out. And if I don't get out of here right the heck now, I am going to die alone in the props loft, and nobody is going to find my body for weeks because nobody goes in the props loft. So I get out from under that pipe, I close the book, I put it back on the shelf where it belongs, I make sure everything is lined up neatly so no ghosts come after me for messing up their order. And then I'm just stuck there, because in order to get to the staircase to escape this haunted props loft, I have to walk under the pipe. And I am really not feeling that. So I have this moment where I've put the book back on the shelf, and I'm just sort of stood there. And I just look around and I go, hello? And of course nothing answers me, but I was so convinced in that moment that there was a spirit sharing this space with me, and I was just like, nope, see you later, and I got the heck out of there. Number 2. One of my jobs during the actual performance is to wrap this baby doll in this really long shawl that one of the characters wears in the opening scene. I was given this job on the second day of Tech Week, and I received no instruction other than make sure there's some fabric sort of draping down and you don't wrap the baby too tightly. So I'm like, okay, I have literally no idea what I'm supposed to do here, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So the first time we run the show, I receive the shawl from the stage manager and I go about wrapping this baby. And I took my time with it because I have a couple scenes to do this and I wanted to do it nicely. I want it to look good. I want the baby to look good, basically, is what I'm saying. So I'm stood there, and the shawl is really long. It's like 10 feet, and there's all of these beautiful tassels on the end, and I'm like, I'm going to play with this. So I sort of roll it up, and I sort of drape it over the baby artistically, and I'm wrapping it around, and there's these swaths of fabric that are just sort of hanging there doing nothing, because you really don't need 10 feet of fabric to wrap a baby. So then the actress comes and needs the baby, and I hand it over, and I sort of like adjust the fabric by her feet so that she's not going to trip over it, and she goes on stage, and that's that. I sit back down, I start doing my homework in the shadows again, and everything is fine. About 30 seconds later, they call a hold on stage, and during tech, that is completely normal, so I don't think anything of it. They're stopping all the time to adjust lights and blocking and costumes and colors and whatnot. And then I hear my name from out in the house, so I look up, I'm like, did I do something wrong? Did I forget a job? Was I supposed to move the topiary? Oh god, I was supposed to move the topiary, wasn't I? I wasn't supposed to move the topiary. The stage manager comes over to me and tells me to go out on stage. So at this point, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, did I do something wrong? Was it the ghost? Did the ghost do something wrong and they figured out it was my fault because I took the book down off the shelf and they're blaming me? And I ask Jen, like, what's going on? And she won't tell me. She just tells me to go out on stage. So I sort of go out and I'm in my little black button down and I'm like peeking my head around the curtain like, hey guys, what do you need? And that's when I see in the house that the director has stood up and is coming to the edge of the stage. Now I know this director because he was one of my professors last semester. So at this point, I'm thinking that he's going to come up on stage and give me a lesson on how to wrap a baby. And that's just not sitting well with me. I'm starting to like get nervous, my heart rate is picking up. I do not want to deal with being taught how to wrap a baby. He gets to the stairs on the apron of the stage, and he opens his hand to me, and he's holding a miniature chocolate bar wrapped in gold foil. And he looks at me and says, "For your gorgeous job wrapping the baby, I bestow upon you this Hershey's bar." Yeah, they called a hold and called a stagehand out on stage so that the director could personally compliment me for my baby wrapping. I have no idea how to react. I'm absolutely floored. I'm like flattered and in shock and really shy because it's all upperclassmen on stage right now. So I just sort of like take the Hershey's bar and like bow to the actress holding the baby and like shuffle off stage, holding it, cradling it to my chest. And backstage in the wings, I'm just like stood there with this Hershey's bar, and the stage manager comes over and is like, "So they really liked the baby doll. You should wrap it like that every time." And I'm like, I know they liked the baby doll. They gave me chocolate. I started to cry. I have no idea why. I was just stood there in the shadows with this golden chocolate bar in my hand. Like, they actually liked my job enough that they called me out on stage to compliment me. Like, this doesn't happen. That's not normal. And that's definitely not normal for Drance. Like, what is going on? So I just sat down and, like, unwrapped the chocolate bar and just ate it. There was nuts in it, so, like, it wasn't great, but it made me really happy. Number 3. This one's a little bit embarrassing. There's this large gap during the second half of the show when I have absolutely nothing to do. Everyone's out on stage, and there's nothing coming on or off that I need to worry about. So I just end up sat there for a really long period of time. And usually I had my phone backstage, but the first couple rehearsals, I didn't really know if that was allowed. So I was just sort of sat there in the dark doing basically nothing. Well, during one of the runs of the show, I was extremely tired. I had had a really long day. It was a Monday. I had had 5 classes in a row, and then I'd come straight to tech. And I was just exhausted. So I'm sitting on one of the set pieces backstage, cross-legged, and I just sort of put my head down on my knee to just rest my eyes a little bit. And then I wake up, and it's the end of the act. I had accidentally slept through the entire second half of the show. I don't think anybody noticed. It's not like I was supposed to be doing anything, but still, it was kind of embarrassing to suddenly open my eyes and realize I'd just fallen asleep on the job. It was totally bizarre, though. Like, I didn't feel like I fell asleep, and I didn't feel myself waking back up. But when my brain came back online, I just sort of realized that I'd missed most of my favorite lines in the scene, and I was like, I think I was asleep. So yeah, those are some of my funny anecdotes. I'm sure there will be plenty more after the second weekend of performances. In other news, I went to my first live opera this week, and it was so cool. The building itself is absurdly opulent. Like, seriously, Who needs staircases where not only the stair treads, but the walls, handrails, and ceiling are all red velvet? But I went full out for this thing. I got myself all dressed up. I had my black maxi dress on and my sterling jewelry. I felt like freaking royalty. It was awesome. The opera I saw was Aida, which is in Italian, so I could actually understand some parts of it. I mean, the subtitles helped a lot. But still, I was proud. It was really good, although I think Cavalleria Rusticana is still my favorite. I'm making Aida my art of the week this week, because why the hell not? I'll link to some production photos down in the description. Even if you don't like the opera, or you don't like this particular opera, you can't deny that it's visually stunning. It was a set designer's dream. And probably a stage manager's worst nightmare, now that I think of it. Oh well. And that's all I've got for now. As always, please give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more like it. If you want to watch my other video diaries, I've put a playlist over there. And if you want more day-to-day updates, I'll put a link to my Instagram down in the description. Bye now!